Yechia Melech HaMashiach, welcome. I'm Edery, and this is my friend
Stavros.
Shalom comes to visit us in Israel on the Chag HaSukkot, and all the way from Cyprus. And we're going to talk about different topics connected to Moshiach, the Christian dynamic of it, the Jewish dynamic. Let's see what we have.
We know from our Christian tradition that the Jewish Messiah is evil.
Okay.
Jewish expect a Messiah.
Yes. So the Christians believe that the Jewish Mashiach is evil, and then the Jewish people will answer, well, the Mashiach is good.
Yes.
Mashiach is a good person. So what do the Christians say about that?
Written many books for the topic of Jewish Messiah.
In the beginning, the Mashiach is going to be good, and then he's going to become evil. Then he's going to show his true colors and be evil.
Yes.
Okay, so the question is, like we said earlier, we discussed, is it fair to try to kill the Mashiach or to damage the Jewish Mashiach if he's not yet evil, according to the Christians? Because let me give you an example, yeah? Let's say I say, you're a good guy, but I know that soon you're going to become a bad guy. So is it fair for me to behave to you as if you're a criminal before you ever do something? No, right? It's not. Okay. But you say, yeah, but there's so much prophecy. Okay. But you have to let the prophecy play out, right? Also, I think that if the Jewish people will see the Mashiach become evil, they won't want him either. You understand what I mean? If the Jewish people see that their Mashiach becomes evil, then they won't allow him to continue being their king, their leader. Does that make sense? So, and also, like I said earlier, according to the Christian prophecies, the Antichrist, right? He will be a devil worshipper, right?
Yes.
In order to be a devil worshipper, you have to be very well versed, and you have to learn it and practice it. And so if we have a Jewish King Mashiach which really fits the description of the Antichrist, he will need to be someone that secretly practices devil worship, correct? So that means killing babies and sacrificing humans and maybe doing many evil deeds that nobody knows about, right? But today in mainstream Judaism, we know less about devil worshipping than maybe even the Christians, because the Christians are very into, you got to be careful from the devil, and the devil is on your shoulder.
How do you know that the Messiah is a good person, a real good person?
Okay, so if we're going like the Rebbe of Chabad, Rabbi Schneerson, so we see that the Rebbe, as a person, in his personal life, he's coming from the Holocaust, he's coming from the destruction of the Jewish people, from the ash of the Holocaust, survivor, like the many Jews in Europe. And the Rebbe is coming from Ukraine. And we see today also Ukraine is a place of revolution. We see a lot of revolution in Ukraine, and this is also the spirit that the Rebbe bring with Chabad, revolution. And the Rebbe comes, and the Rebbe gave out dollars for charity, and the Rebbe spoke to political leaders, and he tried to strengthen the security and the safety of the Jewish people in Israel. Even though the Rebbe did not agree with all the Zionist ideology, but the Rebbe said if there's millions of Jewish people in Israel, it doesn't matter anymore if there's the Zionist government, because millions of Jews are about to, God forbid, be in danger. So this is why the Rebbe spoke to the prime ministers and all these people, not because he agreed with the Zionists, but because. So you see, the Rebbe that was always giving to his followers and were teaching goodness and kindness, the 7 laws of Noah.
If the Messiah will deceive the Jewish, what do you think about this?
If Mashiach, or the Jewish Messiah, the Jewish King, turns out to be a devil worshipper, then not only according to Christianity is that a problem, but even according to Judaism, this is a problem. He cannot be Mashiach if he is going against the Torah. The Torah does not speak about devil worship. The Torah say, I give you the choice of good and bad, and life and death, and the curse and the blessing, and choose life. So if Mashiach does not choose life, he cannot be Mashiach. The Jews will take him down. You don't even need the Christians to interfere. Of course, it's their business, because the Jewish King Mashiach, if he is really a good king, he is supposed to be a light unto the nations. He is supposed to teach the 7 laws and bring everyone to serve Hashem. It is everybody's business what the Jewish Messiah, what is he doing and what is he practicing. But the main thing is that I'm trying to say is that it's very important that the Christians give it a chance, that they give the Jewish Mashiach a chance to, because it could be he's a good Mashiach. Not every Mashiach is the Antichrist. There could be, there's one Antichrist and we don't know when it's going to be, but it could be the first Mashiach is not going to be the Antichrist. It could be it's going to be 10 generations later. You understand? It doesn't have to be the first Mashiach that the Jewish people have, especially if 2,000 years already passed, right, from the destruction of the temple. So then there's no way we know that the Mashiach today from the Jewish people is going to be the Antichrist, unless he proves it. This is what I think. Go ahead.
But why Jewish don't accept Jesus, Yehoshua?
Jewish people don't accept him because, according to the Jewish law, Mashiach has to be a specific qualification. And anyone who does not believe or does not wait for his coming, not only in all the other prophets is he a heretic, but also in the Bible and in Moses. Because the Bible says that one day I will come back, God will come back and have mercy on you and gather you, and even if you will be on the other side of the heavens, God will bring you back. And these are the things that are written in the Bible, all these things which were spoken about by the prophets. And then he goes and he says what the King Messiah needs to be in order to be the King Messiah, the actual things. He says, if a king will stand from the house of David, which is learned in the Bible and fulfills the commandments like David his father, the way it is written in the 5 books of Moses and also in the Talmud. In other words, also the written Torah and the tradition Torah, both of them together, and he will bring the Jewish people to go in its path and to strengthen in the fulfilling of the commandments. He will fight the wars of God, which is to strengthen everything that God wants in the Bible. This is someone that can be a candidate for Mashiach. Basically, he has to be orthodox. Today we call it orthodox. Fulfill the written Torah, the oral tradition. He has to fight the wars of Hashem. He has to fight the wars of God. It doesn't necessarily mean physical wars. It means the wars of God is to add goodness and kindness and things like that into the world. And if he just does these things, which is he has to be a descendant from Beis David, the house of King David, son after son from King David. If he is from the house of David and he fulfills the Torah and the mitzvahs and he's wise and righteous like David, and he fulfills both parts of the Torah, and he brings the Jews to fulfill the commandments, and he fights the wars of God, he is Becheskas Mashiach. He's a candidate to be Mashiach. Okay, go ahead.
We know all that the Yehoshua is the Messiah. Why in Jewish expect another Messiah?
Okay. So, according to Judaism, Mashiach is the one who takes the Jewish people out of exile. Okay, before Mashiach there's the Nasi Hador. Nasi Hador means the leader of the generation. Okay? So even after the redemption is complete, because Mashiach is like a lifeguard, yeah? Mashiach is like a lifeguard. He saves the kid from the pool. But he only becomes the lifeguard when he saves the kid. This is Mashiach is the one who is the rescuer. He saves the Jewish people from exile. If the Jewish people are living in a time of redemption, they don't really need the Mashiach. And this was the case with Jesus. He was alive in the time of the temple. So the Jewish people already had a temple. Yes, they were under Roman control. Yeah, the Romans were controlling Israel at that time, but the temple was still built. So it's not clear if Mashiach is needed for such a thing, because the main thing Mashiach is needed for is to build a temple. One of the main things he does after he is crowned king, because this is what his potential for his king. He has to be from the house of David. Ben Achar Ben means father after father after father, all the way to King David.
Yes, but Jesus said that his body is the temple of God, because we know from our Christian tradition that Yehoshua is the son of God.
Yes, okay, that could be possible, and it also the Jewish people we take the same verse, and you shall make me a temple and I shall rest in you. Don't read betocha means within you a lot of people. Doesn't mean in him, I shall rest in the temple, but rather in the hearts of every single one. This is something that the Jewish tradition as well speaks about, that God rests, and that every person is holding a little bit of spirituality, and every home is a mikdash me'at, a mini temple. And the Rebbe says that the way to make a house physical mini temple is to have a Bible, a prayer book, and a charity box. A Bible is like the covenant, the Ark of the Covenant. The prayer book is like the Mizbeach, where they would make the sacrifice. And the charity box is like the Shulchan, where the special bread in the temple was. So every house in the world can be a mikdash me'at, which is a small temple. Do we believe that Jesus was the embodiment of what the temple is? Yes, but just like everybody else. But no, because there is a physical commandment to build a temple, a physical temple. Just like the Jews were in the desert Yeah, Moses was not at the temple. Moses was the prophet, which went and did the service, and Aaron, his brother, did the service of God in the temple. But there was a physical commandment to build a temple, a house for God. Because God is a spiritual concept and God wants to dwell in this world, but we need to do our part to welcome God here. So, of course, every person has a part of God in him, and he is kind of, according to Jewish tradition at least, yeah? But the physical temple still needs to be built.
Jesus is a savior, and no one else can be saved without Jesus.
Okay.
How then Jews will be saved?
Okay. So, according to the Jewish tradition, yeah, the way of being saved is there's two ways. Okay. The first way is like this. Okay, you know what? Let's talk about like this. The other a question. I'll ask a question. Yeah. What is the place of holy men in the service of God between mankind and God? Right. So we have prophets. We have people like Jesus. We have like Moses. Yeah. We have people that are holy men. What is their place between the regular people and God? Right? This is a question that in Judaism, the way Judaism relates to a prophet or to a holy man is that he's like a lawyer. He's like a good lawyer. So after 120, when you come up to heaven, he will represent your case very well, and he will say, no, he's with me, you know. So he's like a good lawyer in front of God. He knows the law. He learned the Bible much better than you, and you connected your soul with him. So he is going to represent you. He's going to say, God, when he was alive, he did good deeds in my merit. So now I want to repay him by representing him here in heaven. And this is the kind of relationship that that the Jewish people have with the holy people. Now, regarding being saved, according to Judaism, there's the 613 laws. And if we fulfill the laws, not all of them, today we only fulfill 87 of the 613 laws, because we don't have the temple, not all the Jews are in Israel, so there's a lot of laws that we cannot do, okay? But if we want to be saved, we have to just do the laws. The problem is, just like in the regular world, if you don't know all the laws and you're not familiar, so that's why every person needs to have a rabbi or a person which will guide him in a spiritual path to make sure he stays on the path. But that's because, so if first of all you need to do what the law is, and you don't have to transgress, every person according to his deeds, and just by doing that you will be saved from hell because you didn't do anything wrong. The second thing is you have to connect to a holy man so that you're represented properly. This helps. You know, if you like connected to the Rebbe, so the Rebbe will represent you properly in the higher worlds. This is the theory in Judaism. In Judaism, we stress the connection to God himself much stronger than anything else. And now I just want to say one thing, that okay, you know what, let me can I read
Yes.
something of the Rambam? Okay. Our sages say that there is no difference between the regular world and the world of the days of Messiah, the Messianic era. The only difference will be the fact that the Jewish people will be under the rulership of other kings. And you can see from what the prophets say that in the beginning of the days of Messiah there will be the war of Gog and Magog, which the Rebbe says is going on the Holocaust, on the World War II. All the evil things that happened to the Jewish people and that. And before the war of Gog and Magog, there will be a prophet will stand to straighten out the path and to prepare the hearts of the Jewish people. Like it says, here I send to you the prophet Elijah the prophet, and he does not come, and this Messiah which comes, he does not come to make impure the pure, and he does not come to say this is pure and this is impure, and he does not come to say these people are good and these people are bad, but he just comes to bring peace to the world. Like it says, I will bring the hearts of the fathers on the children and the children's hearts on the fathers, to bring peace in the family, to bring peace in the world. This is what Mashiach, Messiah, comes to do. And there are those who say that before Messiah arrives, Elijah the prophet will arrive to announce his coming. And these things, we will not know them till they happen. It means they are not prophecies which are, stamped in blood. There are things that we're not going to understand how they happen till they actually happen. And therefore there's a lot of contradictions or debates on how Mashiach is going to arrive. There is no real order in the way it's going to happen that's part of the religion. This is what it is. And a person should not get locked down on the prophecies and on the bigger things. And he should not dwell in the details of how it's going to happen. Some people are going to be like, the war of Gog and Magog is here and this and that and that. It doesn't matter. Because Mashiach is coming to bring peace, that's the point. The point is not what's going to happen first. You understand what I'm saying? Or what's happening. And he says the reason you should not get involved is because it doesn't bring you to love God more or to fear God more. And also he says you should not dwell on the case. People that say this and this day Mashiach is going to arrive.
We Christians know when the temple is built in Jerusalem, this is a sign that the Antichrist will sit in the temple to prove he is God. We also know that when a king sits in the temple, he will be the abomination of desolation.
Okay, this is a very big issue, really, because what's happening here is, even if we agree, just for the sake of the video or for the discussion, that the Antichrist is not the Jewish Messiah, at least, even we know that there's the 7 years of peace, right?
Yes.
With the Jewish Mashiach, right? As religious people, right? I'm Jewish, you're Christian, right? And there's Muslims in the world and everything. We need to find a narrative, means a way that the story comes together, which doesn't because let me give you an example. Imagine in the Jewish books it says that when you see Jesus, kill him. How would the Christians feel about that? Tell me. If the Jews have written in the Bible that the second you see Jesus, you have to kill him, how would the Christians look at that? You understand my question? Because Mashiach is everything that the Jewish people are looking for. But the Christians are already locked and loaded, ready to take him down, because he's the Antichrist for sure. So imagine if it would be the other way around, that the Jewish people were like, oh, when Jesus comes, we have to kill him because he's a threat to the Jewish Mashiach. You understand the problem? What we need to do is because at the end of the day, today in 2018, all the religious people have one thing in common. We want to serve God, we want to bring spirituality into the world, and we want there should be peace, and we want that people shouldn't kill, shouldn't steal, and should go in the path of God, right? But if the Christians and the Muslims are not going to give the Jewish Mashiach a chance, and they're going to say, oh, you're Antichrist, oh, you're the devil worshipper, so then what is happening is that somebody is fixing a war. Someone is fixing the religious community to extinguish itself. Like we know in the World War II and in the War of Napoleon that they said that there were masterminds behind both sides of the war. You heard this theory before. Have you heard? There were people funding both sides of the war. So the same guy is giving money to them and giving money to them to fight each other and making money of the interest. They say that the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. But what I'm saying is, if the religious community clashes, it's not good, because that's the opposite of the first thing that God told Adam and Eve. What did Adam and Eve? God told them, "Pru urvu, be fruitful and multiply, umilu et haaretz, and fill the land."
If Messiah will deceive the Jewish,
yes.
Can a person deceive the Jewish as Messiah?
Yes, because we go by the rules, and a man is a man of flesh and blood at the end of the day. So there's the law. If he follows the law, good. And if he gets into the power and then changes his way, then it's not good. So the Jewish people can be deceived. But the main thing is, just like America now and Trump, they're making sure that America is first in everything they do. So too, the Judaism has to take care of Judaism. Christianity has to focus on Christianity. And every house has to clean its house.
We have one important prophecy of Christianity that says in the beginning, Messiah will be good to everyone. After a short period of time, he will show the real self who is evil.
Okay, so if this is true, the Jewish people will, just like in government, when you have a corrupt politician, he will be thrown out and someone else. Messiah just means that he takes the Jews from a situation of exile and brings them into redemption. This is what Messiah means. Now, besides that, there is a law in Judaism, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, Som tasim alecha melech. You must place upon yourself a king. There is a law in the Bible, such a law. So it's very important that the Jewish people always have a king. He doesn't have to be Messiah. He can be only a spiritual leader, but he has to be a king, and he has to be established with the Sanhedrin, the 70 sages. They have to be like the Jewish court. They have to speak all the languages in the world. They have to be familiar with all the religions in the world so that they can relate to everybody. And just again to remind you that Judaism is very, very welcoming to other religions. And that's why on Yom Kippur we sacrifice 70 cows for the 70 nations. Should have a sweet New Year. So, if the Antichrist, if he is revealed within the Jewish people will take him down from being king and put somebody else in his place. So that's what I can say. But if he's a good Jewish king or a good Jewish Mashiach, then the Christians should let him.
The prophecy also say that Messiah will be peaceful, and there
will be 7 years of peace. Yes.
Yes.
The person who kills the Antichrist, who is he? He becomes Jesus. He becomes the new Jewish. He becomes the new Christian Mashiach. You see, this is yes.
I know.
You see, this is the problem, because now there's an incentive to kill a Jewish guy. You see, Christianity is built on the guilt of killing the Jew, because who killed Jesus, right? This is what Christianity is built on. Yet at the same time, they're ready to kill another Jew. And whoever kills him becomes the new Christian. You understand the paradox, the problem? So hopefully there will be peace in the world, and we will see that the world is ready for the Mashiach. Stavros, thank you so much for being with me.